of having children. Children lower happiness, not because they're not cute, they are. Not because we don't love them, because we do. We would give up anything to have them and to keep them. But they lower happiness because they are the hardest form of work people can do. They take blood, sweat, tears, hair, and everything else from you. And when people are working, as you saw in the previous slide, they're usually not very happy. So Mom told me marriage, money, and children. Was she right? Kind of, sort of, in a way, about everything, but not entirely. Marriage, yes, but only if it's a good one, it turns out. I don't have time to talk to you about this, but it turns out that marriage makes people happy, but especially if it's a really good marriage. In fact, if it's a bad enough marriage that you want to bail out of it, you usually get happiness from leaving. What about money? Yes, but my mom didn't bother to tell me you don't need very much of it. A little of it will buy you a whole lot of happiness, and chasing dollars after that is a real misuse of your time, because it could be spent doing things that would really bring you happiness when it's not. And then finally, the truth about children is, yes, for some of us, maybe for everyone in this room, but not for all of us. And not for most of us. So I came here to tell you why we don't know what will make us happy. I'm giving you 3 reasons. 2 bugs in the software of imagination. Mind is a prisoner of the present, and it doesn't know how resilient it is. And a bug in the software of cultural wisdom, if you will. Our mothers, with their best intentions, aren't always right. For most of human history, happiness was a problem, but it wasn't a secret. That's the first thing I told you. The earliest recorded words for happiness in virtually any Indo-European language are cognates for the word fortune or luck. They come from the word luck. Isn't that funny? Why would the word happiness be so related in most languages to the word luck? The answer is that for a long time, happiness was nothing but luck. It's a quote from one of my favorite historians, Darren McMahon. And here's what he writes. For cultures regularly subject to upheavals and twists of fate, from the descent of plague to the appearance of a marauding army, to the onset of famine or the wrath of one's betters, it was difficult to imagine happiness as something that could endure, still less as something that one could control. Happiness, rather, was in the hands of the gods, meted out by fortune or forged in the crucible of fate. What McMahon is telling us is that for most of recorded history, happiness was a thing that if you were very, very lucky, it might happen to you briefly. But certainly it was nobody's forever, and certainly it was nothing you could bring upon yourselves. Today we have an entirely different view because it's right. Our happiness is in our hands. For the first time in human history, our happiness is actually in our hands. So what do we do to find it? Well, most of us do what social animals do. We use our imaginations and we look to each other. Look, I loved my mother, but my mother is not the person I would have turned to if I wanted to know how stars are born. I love my imagination, but I wouldn't close my eyes and try to imagine the answer to the question, how does mitosis work? To answer questions that are facts about the world, modern people turn to science. And what I want to suggest to you is that this is now the place that modern people can turn to for answers about happiness. It's my belief that the more we learn about the facts of happiness, what brings it, what takes it, and why we have so much trouble imagining where it's to be found, the more likely we are to be able to find it for ourselves and for each other. Thanks for your kind attention.